All right, guys, we're going to rock and rolling on the show here. By now, you know there was a home explosion in Glenmore, the gated community in Keswick, Glenmore. This has surprisingly become, maybe surprisingly is not the right word, but has become national news. We received a number of text messages from folks up and down the eastern seaboard asking what was going on. And it's been picked up by the Associated Press and many of the national television networks. I kind of want to discuss what we know right now with this Glenmore house explosion that has left one dead and one seriously injured. And I also want to ask the question, how does this happen? Regular propane and gas leaks do not cause explosions like this, where it's total decimation. I've had conversations with general Class A contractors about this. Had a exchange with Elliot Harding, who I trust, about this prior to the program. We'll relay some of Elliot Harding's thoughts. His parents live on this road in Glenmore. I think we'll have a lot of insight into this investigation as the fire marshal starts sourcing the security and surveillance cameras along Ferndown Lane, the ring cameras. So bear with us. Let's have a conversation here on the I Love CVille show about this explosion on Ferndown Lane. Really puts life into perspective. Frank Beamer made the comment, the good times are never as good as you think, and the bad times are never as bad as you think. Explosions like this put things into perspective. Judah, we're live on my Facebook. We're live on I Love CVille Facebook. Are we live on the group?
Let's see. Yep.
Thank you. Are we live on LinkedIn?
Yeah, we should be.
Like and share the show, viewers and listeners. Like and share the show. The Friday edition, or excuse me, the Wednesday edition of the I Love CVille show. We're live on Twitter. If you're watching on Twitter, give us a retweet. We are live on LinkedIn. All right, Judah Wickower, we can rock and roll when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Welcome to the I Love CVille show. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on a Wednesday afternoon in downtown Charlottesville. This program is a heavy one today. An explosion in the gated community of Glenmore and Keswick has left one dead and another person seriously injured. It has absolutely decimated the home where the explosion originated, and it has severely damaged 12 additional homes on and around Ferndown Lane. The explosion has left many of us, including yours truly, my wife, asking a lot of questions. Gas leaks, propane leaks like this generally do not yield explosions of this magnitude. And a natural question right now is asking, hey, what happened? What is going on? What transpired? How do we get to this point? We'll ask some of those questions. I had conversations today with Class A contractors. Had an exchange this afternoon, right before the show started, with Elliot Harding. We'll relay Elliot Harding's comments with his permission. I always ask for permission on the show today. His parents live on Ferndown. And we'll try to recover and put the pieces together. We know the Red Cross is working with the homeowners and families of the 12 houses adjacent to the explosion site. I'm told that most of those 12 homes are uninhabitable now. And this leaves a very, goodness gracious, who wants to be the insurance adjuster or the insurance official investigating and presiding over this insurance claim? I mean, this is an insurance nightmare for anyone that's in that space. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts of what happened, what may have happened in the chat box, and we'll relay it live on air. I'm going to try to do this program without casting judgment in any capacity. I'm going to do this program with just asking questions like we all have right now. It's not about casting judgment. It's about asking questions and recovering at this point. I do want to highlight a partner of the program, a gentleman who I spoke with earlier today, John Vermillion, the owner of Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. His family, the Vermillions, are 5 generations strong in Albemarle County. His company, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, is 3 generations of family ownership. They're located on East High Street and online at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. Support businesses like Charlottesville Sanitary Supply that have proudly served our community for 61 years. If you want locally owned and operated to be a fixture and a part of your community, and we all do here in Charlottesville, then ladies and gentlemen, you put your phone down, you go in person, or you order through their websites directly, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply or their storefront on East High Street. Target, Walmart, the big box brands, Amazon, all they're doing is crushing our neighbors and crushing Main Street, Preston Avenue, the downtown mall, 29 High Street. In person, ladies and gentlemen. A lot I want to cover on the show. Judah Wickower, if you go to the studio camera, then we'll welcome you with a 2-shot. We have photos which we can put on screen. It's no secret, by now we know, a woman was killed and a man was seriously injured with an explosion in the gated community of Glenmore and Keswick. The explosion site is completely decimated.
That's destroyed.
It's destroyed. The ash and the debris has been captured on multiple social media platforms through multiple video depictions and photo depictions, floating as far as Milton, well outside of Glenmore.
Yeah.
Milton is miles away. The explosion was heard as far as Holly Mead and Forest Lakes.
Yeah.
Ty Cooper was quoted in one of the media platforms, and Ty Cooper's come on this program. Ty Cooper said this explosion was so big, it was as if it was a movie experience. Ty Cooper, was pulling into the gates at Glenmore at the guardhouse.
Yeah.
And when the explosion happened, as he was a short distance from the explosion site, he said that it was such a significant explosion that the skin on his face actually pulled back on his face because of the force of the explosion. There are 12 homes on the street or adjacent to the explosion site that have also been damaged, some of them that are uninhabitable right now. This all is transpiring as school is starting, as parents with young children are trying to get their kids to start a school year with a sense of normalcy and consistency, because with children starting a school year, normalcy, consistency, and setting expectations are important. And goodness gracious, in the playbook of life and the playbook of parenthood, there are no chapters for home explosions, destroying homes, killing people, injuring people, and damaging adjacent property.
Yeah.
I want to utilize this experience, this show, and the next hour as a space to ask questions, to crowdsource your ideas and comments. I will pass along information that's been given to me by people I trust, Class A contractors, and Elliot Harding, who's an established name, an established attorney, a reputable attorney, a reputable family in this community. Elliot's parents live on Ferndown in Glenmore.
Wow.
I will offer firsthand perspective myself. My family lived in the Glenmore neighborhood for almost 4 years. It's a community that rallies around its neighbors. It's a community that's supportive and communicative. It's a community of more than 900 homes, where many of the homeowners within the gates of Glenmore are on a first-name basis with each other, because the community itself really encourages outside experiences tied to walking paths and walking trails and hiking paths and pickleball and swimming and golf and tennis and a social club. And through these experiences, the 900-plus homeowners in Glenmore have gotten an opportunity to know each other. And because of that connection, human connection, this neighborhood is now rallying around not just one dead, one hurt, not just a destroyed $1 million+ home, not just the 12 other homes that are damaged, but just rallying around each other in a grief and recovery standpoint. The fire marshal is actively conducting an investigation. The Albemarle County Fire Marshal, sources have confirmed. The injured male is burned and at VCU, from what I've been told. The injured male was a passerby, from everything we've heard. This is being texted directly to me. Someone either walking their dog or walking near the house.
Yeah.
The dead female was killed inside the house.
She was she going to check on something or trying to turn something off?
Some reports indicate the homeowners were out of the country. They were notified that they had a gas refill. And they asked their neighbor to go to the house and to turn off the gas and to check on the refill.
Yeah.
This is a natural transition into we have permission to do this. Elliot Harding is a friend of mine. I've worked in a professional setting with Elliot Harding from a commercial real estate standpoint. I also call Elliot Harding a friend. I've known Elliot Harding since he was in high school, a football player for John Blake at St. Anne's Belfield. Had beers with Elliot Harding, trust Elliot Harding, communicate with Elliot Harding. I have his permission to put on screen and also offer further color on what I'm about to show you. If you can put the screenshots from Twitter on screen, the screenshot on Twitter from Elliot Harding, and then I'll offer additional background and color that I've had provided to me from attorney Elliot Harding. The first tweet was from 18 hours ago. He tweets, "A house in Glenmore just blew up 3 houses down from my parents." He follows that tweet up with a quote retweet. He says, "At least one person identified in the home, and another's on the way to the hospital. They're looking for another person." And the follow-up tweet, a third from 4 hours ago, Elliot Harding tweets this, and I have his permission to share this with the community. Elliot says on Twitter, "I'm hearing this from a reputable secondhand source. Owners were out of the country. They received notice from Tiger Fuel that their tank had been filled. Owners contacted neighbor to go over and turn off the gas. Tiger left on. Having had several hours to fill, it then blew." Elliot has also given me permission to say this, that he thinks there may be a relatively large lawsuit brewing here.
With Tiger Fuel?
One would anticipate. I want to offer perspective on Tiger Fuel and the Suttons who own Tiger Fuel. The Suttons are Class A people, honest, genuine, been in this community forever, significant employers, honest employers, a business that gives back tremendously to the community, as reputable a business as you will find in this community. This platform and this show is not about to point fingers. It's just to pass along information to you, the viewer and listener, where you can then decipher the information we pass along to you, and you come up to your own conclusions and determinations. Viewers and listeners that are watching the program, if you have any additional insight that you would like to share, I will share it, and I will share it with the caveat that we will attribute it to you. I am not going to take comments that come in during the show as a source or unnamed commentary on this one. Yeah. I only vet sources prior to the show, not during to the show. I trust Elliot, and I trust him because he's grown up in this community. I trust Elliot because his parents live on Ferndown Lane. His parents live on Ferndown Lane. He's texting me. He wants to be very clear, wants the viewers and listeners to hear, he's watching the show, that he also loves Tiger Fuel. And he says, it's just, as an attorney, 1 + 1 = something.
Yeah.
Right? He's just looking at this from a factual standpoint.
100%.
Conversation I had with a Class A contractor this morning, and then I took the information that I had with the Class A contractor and verified it with another Class A contractor. The first Class A contractor said, when you have gas leaks like this, they do not yield explosions like this. I took that information with a Class A contractor that I trust and then verified it with another that's a Class A contractor that I trust. And both said that's absolutely correct. Leaks do not cause explosions like this. Total decimation and destruction. We know that there's an active investigation with the fire marshal. The fire marshal is actively looking at Ring cameras associated with houses. Those Ring cameras capture footage in significant clarity and significant capacity. And through the compilation of Ring camera footage, through conversations with the homeowners who are allegedly out of the country,
yeah,
there's a conclusion that's going to be made. These radical notions that it was some kind of illegal activity done in the house, I think are radical and should be dismissed. There's one theory that's circulating around social media that it was some kind of drug or meth lab. That is far from humorous, completely insensitive, and significantly out of touch. I know this neighborhood extremely well. You're not going to find a meth lab in this neighborhood. The starting point in this neighborhood is in the $500,000 to $600,000 range, with homes trading approaching $3 million. I think this was a terrible mistake. I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but as Elliot Harding, the attorney, has said, 1 + 1 = something. And life is so effing precious. Life is so precious. We may have a situation where some kind of fill was done incorrectly. I don't know. And if that's the case, the house could have been so full with gas that, as one person I trust texted me, for all we know, the person checking on the house literally just opened the door and the pressure change caused the ignition. And the gas fill-up was so significant that it caused this explosion. I encourage all the viewers and listeners, and I believe this is the first thing my wife did. There are gadgets that you can buy online that will notify homeowners for gas leaks, smells, toxic levels of gas, propane, CO2.
Yeah.
That's something that should be in your home. It's also a terrifying proposition having gas at your house. Will we look with the benefit of hindsight decades down the road and realize that we all were living upon ticking time bombs? The gas offers luxury and convenience. For example, in a kitchen, the water boils faster. The gas offers convenience in a power outage. You can still use your stovetop.
No doubt.
You can tie it to your water heater.
Yeah.
I will tell you, when we lived in Glenmore on Piper Way, we also were on gas, and our family, my wife and I, and our 2 boys had a leak in our house. And we were so accustomed to the smell, we did not notify it. We also had those gadgets plugged into the wall, and they were faulty and did not notify us of the leak. It was not until my brother-in-law, who came to visit us over the Christmas holiday, he stayed in the basement with his fiance, now wife, that he said, "Hey, this smells funny, this ain't right." And we all went down, my wife and I, and said, we can't smell anything, because we had spent so much time in the house, we just grew accustomed to it as if it was in the gym bag in the backseat of our car.
Wow.
He knew immediately. We got on the phone with our gas provider. They sent 2 people over and immediately confirmed that there was a leak.
Wow.
And remedied the situation. Faulty installation, and this is by no means associated with the provider of the fuel, but this could be subcontractors who do any kind of construction, any kind of remodeling, any kind of installation to your house. These are subcontractors that can be, we had a hot water heater leak, for example. A hot water heater leaked in our house, in our basement. This thing was one of those massive tanks in your basement, massive tanks. And when that hot water heater leaked in our basement in Glenmore, this massive tank leaked all over our basement, causing damage, causing us to lose photo albums that were precious to us. And because of that experience, we decided, with the counsel of a subcontractor that was referred to us, to install a hot water heater that was gas water that is literally heated by gas and pumped to our bathrooms on the first floor, second floor, throughout the house. And this gas tank hot water heater was a fraction of the size of this other hot water heater that actually holds the water. A fraction of the size. I'm talking like 95% smaller.
Yeah.
And this subcontractor who installed it for us at our home in Glenmore did so in faulty capacity, which led a leak to happen in our home. And we didn't even know, because we were so accustomed to the smell.
Yeah.
This is a terrifying situation that could have happened to anyone, and again puts in perspective how precious life is. Imagine the position of being out of town, getting notified through text message or email that your tank just got filled, picking up the phone, calling a friend or a neighbor, having them go to your house to turn off the gas, and that person that you trusted in your home while you were out of the country ends up dying.
Is that how it usually works? Does someone usually have to come and turn off the gas after you get filled up?
Depends on your level of detail at your house.
I guess.
You can turn it off. Not sure why you would have it active. I would love a viewer and listener that could share some perspective on what they think is happening here in clarity. Would love a viewer and listener to offer a firsthand perspective of what they think is happening. Bob Yarborough, King of Redfields, I trust this man. I covered a couple of propane explosions in my reporting days. Propane is a heavy gas, and a leak can accumulate quickly in the lower areas of a structure, especially a basement, and those explosions can be especially catastrophic. I do not know that to be the case here if there was a basement. Carly Wagner, I trust her. She's an engineer and a realtor. I am a bit confused. I assume they had buried propane tank. I also assume that the explosion was ignited inside the home, which means that there must have been a leak inside the home somewhere, like the ignition to a stove left on, which likely resulted in the empty tank and the auto refill from the fuel provider. The fuel companies do not typically have access or responsibility for anything inside the home. I don't see how the fuel provider would be assumed to be at fault here if all this above is true.
That makes sense.
That's Carly's take. Jason Noble, the fuel provider can just come fill up your propane tank without entering your house, depending on the location of the tank. That is how it's done in Glenmore. That is how it's done in our house in Ivy. Once the gauge on the tank gets below a certain level, if you have credit with the company, they just auto come and refill once it gets below a certain level. And he is correct, they do not enter your house.
No.
In most cases, it's a buried tank. How it was with our house on Piper Way, it was a buried tank. How it is with our home in Ivy, it's a buried tank. Elliot Harding offers this perspective. It might not have even been turning off. It could have been go check on the dog. Point being, as they were notified in 5 hours later, explosion. Elliot also says could have been overfilled versus a leak. An overfill versus a leak. We're having a conversation here, viewers and listeners. We'll go to Deep Throat, who I've personally vetted and trust and know personally. He says, underground propane tank leak, I would guess. There was an incident like this in Northern Virginia last year. He also offers perspective that this may not just be a lawsuit, it could be criminal. That's what happened in the Northern Virginia case. He also says tanks are not supposed to be full if the tank is 100% empty. Because this might indicate a leak. We have tanks in Montana. The provider says if you run out of propane, we will not fill until we can do a pressure test. Deep Throat says overfill seems like it would require huge idiocy because they typically fill to 80% levels. 80% is full. He says overfill would seem like huge idiocy. This is a guy that I personally know that is extremely intelligent. This is not about pointing fingers today. It's just about figuring out what's going on. Kevin Yancey. Propane and our natural gases are heavy gases. It can be a light switch or a garage door opener that sparks, igniting the gas. Curtis Shaver asked this question. Wouldn't there be a huge hole in the ground if the tanks were buried in just a leveled lot? He says, wouldn't there be a huge hole in the ground if the tanks were buried? That's a great question. Do you have the photos?
I do. So what a lot of people are mentioning is the heavy gas, and what that may mean for some people that don't understand is that if there is a gas leak, that gas is going to descend and pool, often like water does, at the lowest level that it can find, which means that it won't just disperse through the house and generally. It's going to find the lowest spot, and it's going to fill it up, and it's going to be concentrated in those areas rather than just spreading throughout the house. So take that as you will. Here are some of the photos that we've got.
Look at the screen for the photos. Carly Wagner, we have electric heat pump that heats down to 30 degrees, and then our propane furnace kicks in on for heat. The November after we moved into our new construction home, for a couple of nights in a row, around at 2 to 4 a.m., we were awoken to some alarm saying something, but we never could make sense of what it was saying in our half-sleeping state of mind. A couple days later, it was an exceptionally cold day, and we were starting a fire in our wood stove in the late evening, like we do when we know it will get cold at night. Then our CO2 sensor started saying carbon monoxide, get outside. Carbon monoxide, get outside. And alarms were blaring. We went out and called 911 and our builder. Turned out the HVAC company, a local subcontractor that I will not name here, had installed our propane furnace with a natural gas nipple. The natural gas provides fuel at a much higher rate. We had burned through 500 gallons of propane in 2 weeks, and the fuel was not combusting all the way. It was essentially flooding the furnace. The HVAC installer came and was attempting to clean all the soot out of the surface and then went to power it back up and exploded in our basement. It was all very scary. In hindsight, we could have all died in our sleep the nights the alarms were sounding in the wee hours.
Wow.
It's terrifying.
No doubt.
From someone who is extremely intelligent. Her husband, Carly's husband, also an engineer. Kevin Yancey, it could have been a pilot light that was extinguished when the propane got too low. Kevin Yancey, I installed natural gas lines for Columbia Gas for 7 years. Flow rates between the two are dramatically different. The tank didn't explode. The gas inside the home did. Tanks have explosion-proof fittings to prevent that. So that's an answer for Curtis's questions. Mm-hmm. This is what I want to do with the show today. Deep throat. Propane in liquid form is generally not explosive. It needs to vaporize first. This puts propane and gas into perspective. Does it not?
Somewhat.
Somewhat?
Propane and gas into perspective?
Why somewhat?
Explain what you're saying.
Does it not make you second guess propane and gas around your home?
On an initial, us going through this, yes, it certainly does. But until we have more news from the fire marshal department and understanding what happened and how it happened, we don't hear daily or even weekly news reports of houses, exploding in this fashion.
I get that, but we have half a dozen stories already on the show, including one from Carly, including from my wife and I, where you have a silent potential killer.
Yeah.
My wife and I didn't even know. We were so accustomed to the smell or so in the weeds with having a young child and not having slept for 7 months. This is when our second-born child, when our youngest was born. Mm-hmm. And for the first 7 months, we did not sleep throughout the night. We were walking zombies to the point we did not realize that there was a gas leak in our home, which is insane that we were living for that, God knows how long, with a toddler and a baby with a leak of significance in our home.
Yeah.
With the bad luck of the gadgets that we thought were functioning and trustworthy, later finding out after further inspection that they had malfunctioned. Mm-hmm. Elliot's got perspective that I want to read. I trust this guy immensely, a proven commodity. He says this, and again, his parents live on Ferndown, Elliot. He says, this is Elliot's words. I do know it was Tiger, though, at least on Ferndown yesterday and on the scene today. I love Tiger, Elliot says. It just would be odd for them to be there today, if not the provider, given that it looks like a crime scene with the level of responders on Ferndown. He says, hell yeah, this makes you second guess gas and propane. This doesn't happen with other sources. Jason Noble highlights this and why we do this. Propane is significantly cheaper than electric heat. There are dangers with every source of power.
Yeah.
It's completely fair, Jason Noble.
Yeah.
And I value your perspective, Jason Noble, on the show. I sincerely do.
Mm-hmm.
It is significantly cheaper. During the pandemic and COVID, when gas and propane was so low, that was way cheaper, for example. I guess the point we're trying to make is you wouldn't see an example like this with electric.
Right. You wouldn't see an exploding house because of the electricity. There are certainly other issues. Jason Noble is right. There's an issue with just about everything. Same with
Everything.
all kinds of problems. Travel. How dangerous is it flying in an airplane? Airplanes crash. They don't crash every day. Cars can be deadly.
Totally
You
get it.
drive
Benefit
around
of
town in
hindsight.
them.
Benefit of hindsight. Bob
It's not even the
Yarborough
benefit of hindsight. It's just, the
is
world,
what it is.
The world that we live in is a dangerous place.
Rotate the lower thirds on screen tied to this if you could. Bob Yarborough, I hear you about the gas, and it's likely the explosive aspect of the damage that's more frightening than electricity. But Bob Yarborough says, I'd be willing to bet there are many, many more house fires from electricity than gas, to the point Judah was making.
Yeah.
The sad thing is someone's dead. The sad thing is someone's severely burned. The sad thing is 12 other homes were damaged. The sad thing is of those 12, many are uninhabitable. The sad thing is there's kids involved. Young kids involved that live near this explosion site. I know firsthand 2 families that live near the explosion site. Sad thing is these mom and dads and these young kids that live near the explosion site are starting school in another year, and every mom and dad wants.
Stability.
Been a parent.
Normalcy.
My wife and I are rookie parents. We've been parents for 7 years. We have 2 kids.
I don't think that
We're
qualifies
rookie
as being
parents here.
rookies.
And in that 7 years, I think I can speak confidently for all parents that are watching and listening to the show. All parents want, or at least they should want, to provide their kids a better life than they were provided themselves. And it's challenging because my wife and I were provided a very great life by our 2-parent households. I grew up in a 2-parent household, wonderful parents. My wife grew up in a 2-parent household, amazing parents. And all we want to do is provide our kids with a better life, and goodness gracious, is that hard with the escalating cost of everything in this world. With screen time and social media and the fact that we are more connected than ever before. One of my wife's friends, she lives in Pennsylvania. Her husband works for Villanova University. They live outside Villanova. And she texted to my wife this morning, why does all this stuff happen in Charlottesville? Why does all this bad stuff happen in Charlottesville? And my wife asked me that question this morning as we were eating breakfast before we woke up our kids. It was about 6:15, 6:30 in the morning. I said, sweetheart, it doesn't just all happen in Charlottesville. It's just in 2025, we are more connected than ever before because of social media, because of phones, and because of connectivity tied to digital. Mm-hmm. And we're able to know what's going on more than before. This has happened for generations, but we just know about it more, and it weighs heavy on us. And when you're parents and all you're trying to do is give your kids a better life than what you had when you were a kid, when you're coming from families that are 2-parent households with resources, you're like, goodness gracious, this thing we call parenting is hard enough. And this thing we call parenting is hard enough. Lack of sleep, lack of respect, sickness, fatigue, car shuttling, taxiing your kids everywhere, school, math, reading, friends, troubles with friends, all the stuff that goes with it. And now, all of a sudden, on the first week of school, the first day of school, you have a house explosion on your street. Your neighbor's house is decimated. There's ash as far as Hollymead and Forest Lakes and Milton. The sound of the explosion was heard all over Albemarle County. Your home is damaged or uninhabitable. You're now working with the Red Cross to figure out where you're going to live. All while you're trying to create consistency and set expectations for your young kids on the first day of a new school year. Where's the chapter in this playbook we call parenting for what to do for that? Mm-hmm. Anyone have that chapter? Where's the chapter in this playbook we call life for calling a friend, a trusted advisor, a neighbor to go into your house to check on gas while you're on a European or out of the country escapade, only to find out after making that call of your friend, neighbor, and trusted advisor that your instruction led to her demise and the injury of somebody else walking in front of your house?
Yeah.
What's the grief that you have to manage for your rest of your life on that? Conan Owen watching the program, he gives props to Judah. Lots of more risky aspects of life. More people drown in local swimming pools than in house explosions. Good example, you know most car accidents happen within like a mile or two of your house?
Probably even closer than that, but yeah. I mean,
this past week, last week on a Wednesday, I was involved in a car accident. I was on Ivy Road. Mm-hmm. Sitting in standstill traffic on Ivy Road in front of the Boar's Head, driving to work, right in front of Comer Antiques, right before I got to Bel Air Market. I'm in standstill traffic on Ivy Road next to the Boar's Head before the Bel Air neighborhood. And there's a Jeep Cherokee that is coming at a high rate of speed directly behind me. I see in the rear view mirror at the last second, my God, this guy is going to hit me. And the Jeep Cherokee hit the back of our Toyota with such force that it then pushed our family Toyota into the rear bumper of the car in front of us. He rear-ended my bumper, with such force that he propelled me into the car in front of me, causing more damage to the front of the car than the rear of the car where he hit me.
Yep.
Sitting in traffic a mile and change from my house while waiting for the light to turn green in front of Comer Antiques. You know, the guy that hit me, and I won't dox him, and I've wanted to for so long, also a local attorney, this guy never said in this entire turn of events where he damaged my car, most likely totaling it, significantly impacted the car in front of me. You know, the guy who hit us never said to us, "I'm sorry."
Because you shouldn't. It wasn't personal, trust me.
He never said, "I'm sorry." More concern for admitting culpability and how that could be used later by either me, whose car was hit, or the car in front of me, than being a man of integrity and character who's willing to admit that he damaged two cars.
That's not fair.
Okay. You go with that with life, where saying I'm sorry is not the right thing to do. You don't think the guy who hit somebody should say eventually I'm sorry? Is that you're comfortable? No, you're comfortable on that hill?
I don't know the interaction between you two. It's been less than a week.
A week on the dot.
Okay, a week on the dot. He's just doing the intelligent thing in cases like this, and maybe his being a lawyer colors your view of his actions. But
that his being a lawyer doesn't color the view of my actions, his actions.
Well, you brought it up.
His not apologizing colors the view of his actions, colors my view of his actions.
Okay.
His complete aloofness while after the accident, getting his phone and immediately clearing the call log. Like getting out of his Jeep and clearing the call log of his phone so he doesn't show he's on the phone or doing something on his phone colors the view of my actions. Colors the view of my view of his actions. That's what it does.
Okay.
Yeah. And I get the point that you're trying to make, that on scene you don't apologize to admit fault because it could be used against you. That's what you're saying, right?
I mean, you know this already.
Yeah. It puts things in perspective. Like today, before all this happened last night, and my wife gets a subscription to Southern Living magazine, which I have here in my hand, Judah. And in Southern Living magazine, this issue, this beautiful home that's on the cover of Southern Living magazine, this one here, is this the shot that I'm on here?
Yeah.
And keep your on a two-shot. I value your opinion. I'm not trying to be antagonistic with you. Southern Living magazine, this issue, this is the September 2025 issue. This home that's on the cover of Southern Living is in Keswick Estate.
Nice.
A Charlottesville area home. I mean, there's a multi-page spread on a Charlottesville area home in Keswick Estate. I mean, it's like 10 pages in one of the most prestigious and premier and noteworthy magazines tied to housing in the country. And the people that are highlighted in this Southern Living centerpiece cover story are architects Julie Klein Dixon and Keith Scott Rosny of Rosny Company Architects. I know Keith Scott. Before buying into the Macklin building on Market Street, I rented from Bill Nitchman in the Professional Center. And on the third floor, Rosny Co. Architects were our neighbors in this building. I know this man.
Nice.
He's the architect here, and the landscape architect was Eugene Rying of Water Street Studio. The builder was Alan Pettit of Alexander Nicholson, and the developer was Molly Hardy, Robert Hardy's wife, the former rector of the University of Virginia Board of Visitors. Molly and Robert own Keswick Hall. They literally have a... How many pages is this? I mean, goodness gracious, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I mean, you're talking like a 17-page spread in Southern Living magazine highlighting this gorgeous home built by world-class people that live in Charlottesville and Albemarle County. Designed and developed and built and created and birthed by world-class people that live in Charlottesville and Albemarle County. And this was going to be something I was going to talk about on the show. But how do you talk about this on the show when a house explodes on Ferndale Lane, a woman dies, a man is severely burned, and is, from what we're being told, at the VCU Burn Center, and 11 other homes on or near the street, 12 other homes on or near the street are damaged or uninhabitable.
Yeah. And lest we get too full of poo-pooing the fact that people in a high-income area of our city are now without homes. These are not billionaires we're talking about, and if you get into any of the decent articles written on what happened, you'll see that it is requiring Red Cross assistance to house and take care of these people currently.
Wait, there's people poo-pooing these people because they live in Glenmore?
No, but I imagine there will be.
You're saying there's people on social media
No,
that
I'm not.
saying they get what they get because they live in a gated, wealthy community?
No, but you know the whispers are out there if they haven't been.
Well, that's worse than the guy who crashes into a car on Ivy Road, slams the car, he crashes into another car, and never says, "I'm sorry for ruining your day or destroying your vehicle."
I'm,
That's even more despicable than the guy who fails to apologize.
I agree with you there.
Georgia Gilmer watching the program. She says, Elliot Harding, I think everyone with propane tanks on their property wants to know how and why this happened. I'm now a bit edgy. Same with my wife, same with me. We have a propane tank on our property. And Georgia Gilmer makes a good point. And I'll tell you right now, it's not just someone that has propane tanks on their property. It's anyone that's near someone that has a propane tank on their property.
Yeah.
12 other homes around this piece of property were damaged to the point of some being never lived in again. Or at least needing massive restoration to be able to be lived in again.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Oh, I know.
This is like from a Jerry Bruckheimer movie. We see this in like Armageddon or Die Hard or Con Air.
Action movies, yeah.
Okay?
House blows up.
Except there's no Sly Stallone or Nicolas Cage or Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise. It's just everyday people that we see at the coffee shop or in the hallway or at the farmer's market.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you talk about a story that we were going to talk about today? 4,000, is it 4,000 first years moving in this week?
Yep.
How do we talk about that?
I mean,
What's the other headline that we had on there?
let's see. What else we got? I don't know. We have something about a football player, right?
How do we talk about the Louisa County rising senior? You know there's a senior at Louisa County High School, a running back that has been recruited by all the major universities that play football in the country, in the United States of America, Alabama and Penn State and Georgia and Ohio State, just to name a few. These universities literally landed a helicopter in Mineral, in Lion Nation, in the Lion's Den, where Louisa County plays football, where Bubba the Lion is pushed around a football field, a live lion in a cage, while a fire-breathing prop lion starts a football game as skydivers skydive from a passing plane, skydiving to the 50-yard line to deliver the game ball, as cheerleaders, as football players run through a banner to celebrate Friday nights in Mineral. Bubba the Lion roaring in his cage as he's being wheeled and pushed by cheerleaders along a football field, while a fire-breathing prop lion gets the fans riled up. A university took its coaches via helicopter and landed in Louisa to try to recruit a junior in high school to get him to sign to play football. And the University of Michigan won out on his services. A rising senior at Louisa has inked to play football and committed to the Michigan Wolverines. How do you talk about that now? How do you talk about that now, viewers and listeners? But that's what happened. That's what happened with Savion Hitter, a 5-star recruit and the 17th best high school player in the nation.
Wow.
The top-ranked running back in the nation plays for Louisa. And he said no to Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee and Ohio State and said yes to the Michigan Wolverines.
Interesting.
Janice Boyce Trevelyan, watching the program. I trust her. Transformers blow and catch fire as well. My parents have one that caught fire in the backyard and started the yard and trees on fire. Raise your hand in the air if you're feeling edgy about your propane tank in your house right now. Raise your hand in the air if you're buying some of those gizmos and gadgets to help you with the propane and the COT and the gas leak awareness. Raise your hand in the air. I know we are. Anything you want to add to this?
I mean, we'll know more later. I'll be very interested to find out what is revealed in the fire marshal's investigation.
Active fire marshal's investigation going on now. I'm equally interested. Multiple people using the hand emoji in the chat boxes of their respective comment sections.
The hand emoji?
Raising their hand in the air. I am chilled and shaken to the core here. And I want you to consider this as we close the show. This could have been considerably more devastating. This could have been considerably more deathly and dangerous, devastating.
No doubt.
Hug and kiss your loved ones, and do it now. And if you're not near them, text them and tell them you love them. Judah Wickower and Jerry Miller, the I Love CVille Show.